my name is Rebecca, and this is the Christmas angel that I chose a few years ago specifically with the intention of giving a makeover. I love her pretty face. I don't like the way it's painted, but the face itself was nice. Her dress has some issues with it, somewhat tacky decorations. Her wings are a total mess. This year they finally completely fell off with the nasty wire sticking out. So, get rid of those. When I was about 8 years old, my mother gave our family Christmas angel a makeover, and I've wanted to do it myself ever since. So, finally, after nearly 30 years, here we go. The first thing I wanted to do was get rid of these little decorations that are on the outside of her dress. I don't think they're completely ugly, and I'm really rather fond of gold. But I am intending to take this in a very different direction, and I need this skirt and all of these little bits and bobs out of my way for what I intend to do later. So I'll just keep struggling with these crappy scissors until, there I go, I suddenly remember that I have a good set, which are usually reserved exclusively for squishy making, but in this case we'll make an exception. There we go. That looks about done. Just tidy up a few little things here and there, and she is ready to paint. Another reason I chose her, aside from her pretty face, was because I liked her basic dress, which I have no idea how to make from scratch. I decided to paint over her entire face instead of just painting over her features because I knew that I would make a billion mistakes and have to go over them, and that there was no way I would ever just get a nice, smooth, seamless look unless the entire face was painted. And of course I had to make sure to remember to paint her hands so that they would match her new face color. I decided that I wasn't happy with how pale her skin turned out, so I went back over it again with just a slightly darker skin tone that I think suits her just a bit better. And of course, again, I had to remember her hands. Here I'm going in with an assortment of shades of pinks and peach and white, just trying to get a little bit of shading and contour to the face. I'm using all acrylic paints on her, but these have been slightly watered down to make them a little bit easier to work with and a little bit easier to blend. I want her to have a very soft, natural look, like fair skin made rosy from the winter chill, if you will. There we go. I think I'm pretty happy with the way that looks. I'm going in with a little bit darker of a pink for her mouth. I want her to have a pretty little bow of a mouth that isn't too dark, but that definitely shows up from the top of the tree. And just a little bit of shading here and there around the mouth and the tip of the nose. Attempting to give her some pretty little shine spots. There you go. For some reason, my camera's not as focused as it should be, and I'm out of frame. This entire process is brand new for me. Although I've watched my mother do it ever since I was a child, and I've binge-watched countless YouTube how-to videos, it's something that I've never gotten around to doing myself until now. Which is why I'm sure many of you will be watching me wondering why I'm doing the things that I'm doing the way that I am. Well, it's because I don't really know what I'm doing. This is an absolute first for me. I'm trying to use some pink here to give her a little bit of contouring and depth around the eyes. I was the most nervous about working on the eyes. Eyes are notoriously difficult to work on, and the few times that I've attempted them in the past in other projects, it hasn't gone well. I think the absolute worst thing about working on eyes is trying to get them even. When I asked my daughters what color the eyes should be, they both immediately agreed on green. Which is fine by me, because green is my favorite color. I did most of the detail work for the eyes off camera, so that I could get it closer and not have to worry about filming it. Another immediate and unanimous vote from my daughters was that the hair color should be a pale, pale blonde. I wound up using what turned out to be the very last of my yellow to create this specific shade of blonde just for her. Be careful with that brush. There you go. Get it cleaned up. Don't mess up all your hard work, Rebecca. Go over that a few more times just to make sure that we have a nice full and complete coverage. I don't want any of that dark, discolored muck showing through in my pretty, pretty pale blonde hair. Pay no attention to the dork behind the video. Now that I have a nice, full, even coverage of that blonde, I've taken some of my metallic gold paint, and again, I've watered it down a bit so that I've turned it into sort of a wash that I can brush over the top of that blonde. And as you can see, that adds some really pretty dimension to her hair and also makes it look shiny instead of flat and dull, which is never a good look for hair. Even if you do happen to be a tree-dwelling recluse who only comes out once a year. I absolutely love the way that this gold wash looks over that blonde hair. I think that they come together to create the perfect soft golden blonde. Now I'm just going through with my tiny little detailing brush just to clean up all of those edges. Now that I've finished with the painting part of the makeover, it's time to move on to her dress. To achieve this, what I'm doing is taking panels of red sparkly tulle and sewing them into place at intervals around her waist. As I already said earlier, I really don't know how to make a dress from scratch, so for me this was the easiest alternative for achieving the look that I wanted. Fortunately for me, this does not have to be a functional dress. And there we have our skirt. Now I'm just pleating and sewing off these two little tiny strips of tulle, and you will see what I'm using those for in just a moment. And yes, I am well aware that my sewing technique leaves much to be desired. But it does seem to get the job done, so I guess that's all that really matters. On the bright side, I only stabbed myself once during the whole process. Fortunately, it doesn't matter if it's a bit messy because all of these stitches are going to be covered up. Now I am attaching two more little panels of red tulle that are meant to hang down off of her shoulders, sort of like streamers or a partial cape. I'm not really sure what you would call these. I think that they add a nice touch to the dress and give it a more finished and filled out look. Of course, it won't really look finished until I get all of the little accessories added, but for now, here is our basic dress. I think it's already a huge improvement over where we began. Now this next part was done a little bit backwards. I began putting these little rosettes that I had found in place, but then I realized I had forgotten to attach this gold braided ribbon that I had already put together around her neckline because it looked a mess and needed to be covered up. So I went in there and got that attached, and then I was finally able to go back and finish placing my little red rosettes on the shoulders to cover up those unsightly stitches. I also added this red sash around her waist off camera to help cover up all of the places where the skirt attaches, and then I finished that off with this pretty little sparkly red bow. Next, I cut the pointy little tips off of these rosettes and glued them into her hair as little ornaments. I think they look very pretty. Now I'm taking these pretty little gold bows that I found, and I'm hot gluing them in random places on the front two panels of the gown, where you're most likely to see them from the top of the tree. And before I forget, I am adding this little gold ribbon on her hair just to finish out her hairstyle and to make it look a little more complete. I found these ornaments and knew exactly what I wanted to do with them. First, I'm going to make sure that everything is nice and secure so that it doesn't fall apart. And then we are going to attach it to our girl, nice and secure. Perfect. And now it's time to move on to the wings. First, I'm peeling off the old feathers off of the old wings just to give me an idea of the size that I want to work with for my wings. Now, I'm not going to do these ugly half wings. I want to make mine a bit bigger and fuller. I always thought that it was a prettier look. Now I'm just going to cut these out and open them up. That way both of my wings will be the exact same size and shape. I'm using pins to hold my template in place because I couldn't find my Scotch tape, but to be perfectly honest, I think these worked out better anyway. Now we'll get these out of the way, and I am going to use my box cutter to just work my way around all of these lines to try to get as smooth of a cut as possible. There we go. I'm going to use white gesso to cover the cardboard front and back because I'm going to be gluing white feathers over the entire thing front and back, and I don't want any cardboard or picture showing through on my wings. I'm also going to be careful to make sure to cover all of those sides because I don't want those showing through either. I wound up doing about 2 full coats of gesso on each side of the wings just to get that full coverage that I wanted. Now those are done and dry on both sides, and we're ready for feathers. I was just trying to do my best through here to get the feathers to look as neat and tidy and as natural as possible without getting my fingers stuck to every single one along the way. I honestly got so much super glue stuck to the tips of my fingers during this process that I was having a very difficult time getting the touch screen on my phone to cooperate. That looks pretty good. Let's jump ahead. Woohoo! It's like magic! And one more time. There we go. Well, I mean, I've seen better wings, but I don't think they're too bad. Very quickly, I'm going to add the little shine spots to the eyes, which I forgot to add earlier. Now we can attach the wings to cover this mess. No one ever needs to know. Just making sure that's good and secure, and we're done. I am truly so very, very happy with the way she turned out. Like I said, I have never done anything like this before, so I went into this project having no idea whether or not I would even be able to pull this off at any stage, let alone all the stages. I think such a pretty angel deserves a name, so I have decided to call her Evangeline, which means gospel or good news, which I think is perfect for a Christmas angel. I hope that you enjoyed watching my video, and I hope that you like the way Evangeline turned out as much as I do. If you're interested, I would love for you to come pay me a visit on my other channel, Nomad's Land Studios. That is my narration channel, where I mostly narrate short stories and poetry. We are currently working our way through Nutcracker and the Mouse King for Christmas. I'll put the link for that channel in the description of this video for anybody that wants to go check that out. Again, thank you so very much for watching. I hope that you have a wonderful Christmas. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!